Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
All kids out of the pool for Adult Swim. All kids out.
There we go. All better now. Man, titties are the greatest things on earth.
Hail and howdy, everybody. Welcome back to the Daily Dive, the Double D's, where you, the audience, are in charge. You make this show happen, and I am thankful for that every single day. Hope everybody's having a good Wednesday. I'm doing a little better than I was yesterday. Last night was the first full night's sleep I think I've had in several days, because I replaced my mattress and I didn't keep having to wake up every hour to put air in it because there was a hole. Although I did wake up with a sleep paralysis moment. I rolled onto my back at some point, and I don't do well when I'm on my back. It's one of those things that will lead to sleep paralysis for me. So I woke up going like, and had to pull myself out of it. So it was a frightening thing, sleep paralysis. You wake up, your mind is going, you're in that state between sleep and consciousness, and you're hearing things that aren't really there. And sometimes you see the shadow beings that are hovering. Sometimes you don't. But you're trying to move, and you can. And sometimes, at least for me, you'll be in like a compromised position where I'm like, I've maybe tied myself into a pretzel, and my breathing's a little restricted. And and panic sets in. And you start calling out, hoping somebody's there to shake you awake. But then you realize, no, I got to do it myself. And then it's the fight to just get up. And that was one of those fights where I wasn't in a compromised position physically, but I was laying there going, well, this isn't comfortable. I don't like it. I got to get up. And I managed to get myself woken up. But as I lurched up out of bed, I was like in a weird half awake state. And I was literally going, I was literally going, and I'm lurching forward, and I realized, stay upright. If you fall backwards, it'll be a bad thing. It'll be a bad thing if you fall backwards. So I had to fight to keep myself upright, and I did. And I woke up, and I was like, okay, great. I love it when days start like that. Anyway, so that's that was my start to my day. But then the day rolled on normally. Got a little cardio in. Had a nice breakfast, egg sandwich, watched a little YouTube, and then got ready for the show. Although we need to change something for the week. We're going to push back EU Book Club to next week, because I just started reading yesterday. I just started the reread yesterday, and there's no way if I want to read this casually and not rush it, there's no way I'm going to finish by Friday, even with my reading speed, because I got other stuff I have to do. So we're going to push this back to next week. I promise it won't get pushed back again. I just literally started it yesterday. So I don't want to rush it. I want to have a good time. So you guys got an extra few days if you want to catch up and read Children of the Jedi by Barbara Hamley. So hope we're doing well out there. Hail and howdy, y'all. Hail to the chat. And no, Alf, you are gay. You are gay. And I want to note this. Legatus, the perfect bot, said hello to himself. The perfect bot said hello to himself. Good job, Legatus. Good job. I hope everybody's doing all right, though. What is this? What is this? No. I'm not into that. No. And nobody's been banned. Nobody's been banned. No bannings. No nothing. So all right, guys. Also, I have great news. Look what arrived yesterday afternoon. It's here. Physical copy is here. We're back to the good old games. I mean, yes, I have every single copy of the game I've ever owned, all the way back to the Sega CD. I have the Sega CD ones. I would have had the Saturn ones, but they discontinued the Saturn ones and then made them the PlayStation 1. So I have the PS ones, the PlayStation ones, and I had a couple of the handheld ones. I don't think I have those anymore, actually. I think I got rid of those. And now we got this. And this is cool right here. Look at this. So here it is, and it has a reversible. You can flip it around, and you can make it Lunar 2. That's cover. And it's interesting. They're calling it, for the remastered collection, they're using the original Sega Saturn titles, Silver Star Story and just Eternal Blue. They're not using the PS1 ones, Silver Star Story Complete and EB Remix, EBR. So that's very interesting. When am I going to start streaming? It's kind of up to you guys. I don't have time. I definitely don't have time in the next couple of days. Also, we are very, very deep into Expedition 33, so I kind of would like to finish that first. Now, I did power it up last night or early this morning before I went to bed, and I have only one minor complaint, and it's a thing that's just, it's a personal it's a pet peeve of mine. I know. And you guys feel free to comment on this. Maybe it's just me. I hate it when video games force subtitles, especially in cutscenes. And I played the opening of the game just to take a look at it, and it's beautiful. I love it. But they're forcing subtitles into the cutscenes, and I don't like that. And there's no option to turn it off because it was never part of the base game. There were never subtitles in the PS1 versions. So there's no built-in option to turn off subtitles. And I hate embedded subtitles that I can't turn off. Because for me, because I watch anime, because I watch a lot of anime, my eyes will go to the subtitles first before I look at the picture. I go right to it, and it's a distraction for me when something's in English. Now, some people I know need them because some people have hearing problems and they can't read them or watching games, but I don't like subtitles in my games. As every other gaming stream, I turn subtitles off because I hate it. It ruins my experience. That's my only complaint. I know it's not a real complaint. It's just a pet peeve of mine that annoys me. I don't like subtitles. Gung Ho Games, why did you put subtitles in this game? Why did you do this? Maybe some point they'll add a turn subtitles off feature in an update. I don't know. I should reach out to them, or I should comment some way, somehow. So when we're going to play it, I don't know. I'd like to start playing it as soon as next week, but it all depends on the schedule and other streams and the fact that I really am enjoying Expedition 33, and I really don't want to divide my attention or my time. I'd like to stay focused on one game, especially when I'm streaming. I mean, if I'm playing a public game and a private game, that's two separate things. Public play and private play. But when I'm streaming, I don't like to divide my attention if we're doing a serious playthrough, like with Expedition 33 right now. So I hope maybe next week. We've waited this long. We can maybe wait a little bit longer. So once we get into it, we're playing Lunar 1 and Lunar 2. We're going through both games. We're not stopping. So my hearing isn't bad. My hearing is perfect. I don't have hearing problems. I hear perfect. All right. So what is on the agenda for today? Right now, the usual stuff. We'll go through articles. We have no videos have been reserved. No videos have been reserved. So there's that. No videos have been reserved. So you guys start thinking about videos. So let's go over the rules. Now, unfortunately, even though right now we are at, here's our total for my day of doom, my week of doom, but I have no more tiers. I have no more tiers to motivate you to punish me, unfortunately. But you can still keep donating. Now, this is right now a preference of mine just at the moment, because I don't know if there's a problem, but at the moment, we only have one business day left due to the holiday and the weekend of the YouTube payout period for Google AdSense. I haven't been paid yet this month on YouTube. All the generosity everybody's shown me for the month of May, through YouTube, I have not been paid yet. So at the moment, let's go through Stream Elements, because that goes directly to me. so we don't have to wait for YouTube. Now we got one business day left. I've sent it. I found a Google support email. I'm trying to work it out. There are apparently no problems on my AdSense, but I haven't gotten paid yet this month. Usually it happens right away on the 21st, but it didn't happen this month, and I'm a little annoyed, especially because I'm getting you. You guys have been very generous this past month with everything going on. So I would like that. So there we go. What's paid? Well, I've been monetized since my first year, so I occasionally get paid from YouTube. How do I feel about 40K lore videos? I wouldn't mind a 40K lore video at all because I have very surface level knowledge of the 40K universe. I have osmosis knowledge from being around people who played 40K tabletop years and years and years ago while I was playing fantasy, and my general knowledge. It's general knowledge. So I'm fine with 40K lore videos. Fine with it. Completely fine with it. I love Warhammer. Warhammer's great. It's fantastic. So yeah. All right. So quick review then. So we're pushing back EU Book Club. Tonight, remember, tonight is Autopsy stream. We're going to autopsy why Wheel of Time on Amazon failed. We're going to autopsy it. It's going to be a good one. I'm excited. I haven't had a chance to start working on my other Wheel of Time video because yesterday real life stuff took over in the middle of the day. So I'm hoping to get that out by Friday at this point. I'm going to start work on it today or tomorrow. I'm hoping to get it done by Friday. And then rest of the week is Catch as Catch Can. You know, tomorrow night, Thursday, we've got Anime Odyssey. Me and Dermy, we're starting our Summer of Gundam. And then on Friday, Ballbusters. No guest on Ballbusters. We're free balling it. Saturday, there is no Saturday chatter this week because Dermy's going another stream, but we will be doing co-op. We'll be killing heretics and killing bugs Saturday night co-op. I don't know whose Discord will be in, either mine or Alf's. I don't know. So we'll get to that. And then Saturday, of course, the finale of Shooty Who. Saturday Night Drive-In is Star Trek First Contact this week. Doing Star Trek First Contact. Very excited. I love that movie. And then Sunday Roundtable. And then Monday, the finale, the final episode ever of Doctor Who Cares Reviews. Jed and Dermy. And then more Mellow Mondays. So there you go, guys. That's the quick recap of what's going on the rest of the week, into the weekend, into the next week. All right. I got the hiccups and the burples. That's not good. Let me get those out of the way. All right. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at today's articles and see if there's anything. Because remember, here are the rules for those who are maybe coming around the first time. Here are the rules of the game on this show. $10, you get an Adam rant on a topic of your choosing. I mean, spur of the moment, hot take, anger. $15, choose an article that I'm going to show you, or maybe one I haven't seen. If you want me to read it and give an instant hot take on it. $20 for a video, and $30 to make me watch and do a live review of a movie or an episode of television. But you always have to give me 1 to 2 days because I have to have time to watch it and fit it into everything else I'm doing. So them's the rules for those coming in late to the game. That's how we play it here on this show. And all donations right now go to the total of my Day of Doom, my Week of Doom at Disney Star Wars Galaxy Edge and beyond. But we don't have other tiers for that. So I guess consider the fact that, like, if you hit $2,000, there'll be another tier. If you hit $2,050, $2,100, there'll be tiers. We just have to come up to it. So think about, you're investing in pain. If you're doing it now, you are investing in further pain and suffering for me. Just understand that. All right, so let's go over the articles, see if there's anything you guys want to hear me talk about. I haven't reserved any, so everything is fair game right now. J.K. Simmons to lead Westie series at MGM Plus as premier cable or greenlights crime drama. Well, J.K. Simmons is great. He always gives a top-notch performance. He can be hard-ass. He can be funny. He's pretty good. Okay, we've got one from Kel for $20 for the 40K video, and you've DM'd it to me. Okay, so we've got a 40K lore video we're going to watch when we're done with articles, and possibly a monologue if one comes to mind, or if I go off on a tangent on a personal topic. All right, thank you, Kel, for the $20. Andrew Tate charged with the R word in the UK. Listen, if you prescribe to anything that Andrew Tate says, you should seek help. This dude is one of the biggest freaking grifters in the world. He is not a symbol of masculinity. He's a freaking joke. Now, I'm not saying he did this or didn't do this, but this is not the first time this kind of shit's been brought to his doorstep. So that dude deserves everything he gets if he is guilty, and he deserves all the ridicule he gets just for being a jerk and an asshole. Call Me By Your Name producers reunite for animated doc about Freddie Hirsch, a German Jewish athlete who led children's programming in Auschwitz. Okay, that's a thing. Take It Down Act, what it means for celebrity deep fakes. You know what? I don't need celebrity deep fakes. I never needed that. Never needed that. Never needed that. Not my thing. I don't like it if it's fake. What's the point if it's fake? What's the point? California, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. California is doubling its film incentive, but it may be too late to stop runaway production. Yeah, Hollywood needs to just die. We know this. We completely know this. All right, take it easy, Artie, man. Thanks for hanging out. Go ahead. Catch up later, man. As always, thank you for hanging out. WPP erases Group M, one of Madison Avenue's most influential names. Don't care. Netflix's Reed Hastings joins board of AI company Anthropic, a rival to OpenAI. Well, listen, the AI wars are on, and it's a tool. I'm not afraid of AI right now. These are just tools to make things work better and easier. Jensen Ackles, Eric Dane tried to stop terror attack in LA in first countdown trailer. We like Jensen Ackles. Fan of Jensen Ackles. Always enjoy Jensen Ackles. Of course, I don't care about current day TV. I'd have to see this thing be actually here. It's good to give it even a chance. And I barely watch anything new. Everybody keeps quelling about, oh my God, watch Mobland. Oh my God, watch this. I'm not going to, because I don't care. I don't care. And frankly, the more you tell me to watch something, the less I'm likely to watch it. That's just who I am. You either let me come to something on my own, or leave me alone with it. Don't keep saying, you gotta watch this. It's so good. No, that's not gonna sell me on anything. That's never gonna sell me to watch something. Never ever. All right, let's go one more page on this because we want to make sure we got it for the morning. Jeremy Renner says experiencing death during snowplow accident felt like a great relief and the most exhilarating piece you could ever feel. I didn't want to come back. Whoa, Jeremy, I don't want to know that. I don't know that, dude. Listen, that is an amazing recovery for what he's done. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that kind of stuff. 5-6 Wizard of Oz at Sphere. How AI is bringing Dorothy and the Yellow Brick Road to the world's biggest, most immersive screen. I hate that movie. I've always hated that movie. I don't hate the Wizard of Oz. I just hate that movie. I hate that adaptation. I despise it with every being and fiber in my body. Debating the new Emmy Award strategy adopted by Pedro Pascal for The Last of Us. Die early, submit for lead. Emmys are a waste of time. All award shows are a waste of time. Jane Rosenthal, unscripted Tribeca founder, on the executive who disrespected De Niro. Meet the parents for who cares about De Niro? Shut up. More tedious bullshit. Good Fortune trailer. Keanu Reeves becomes guardian angel. New comedy with Aziz on. Oh, I see Aziz Ansari and I'm out. I hate that guy. That guy is not funny. That guy is not funny. Never has been funny. Never will be funny. The Bad Guys 2. DreamWorks Animation will preview footage at an Annecy International Film Festival. Yeah, furry bullshit. No thanks. Variety honor Brenda Song with Variety Virtuoso Award at Bentonville Film Festival. Brenda Song is still hot. She's still hot. Yellow Jackets breakouts. Don't care about Yellow Jackets. Magellan review. Gail Garcia Bernal plays the famed explorer in Lav Diaz's mesmerizing myth-busting biopic. Sure. Little historical drama. Why not? Brad Pitt says, my personal life is always in the news, and it's an annoyance to deal with while filming. It's always been a nagging time suck. Well, then don't be famous. And don't parade your bullshit. How about that? Oh, I'm Brad Pitt. I've got my millions of dollars, but I don't like it that people know about my personal life. Shut up. Spanish Mart Meat Iber series, and play. I don't. Whatever. David Levine, the chief operating officer, will return to Warner Brothers Discovery. Okay, another loser. FX's Gen Z coming of age comedy adult still has a lot of growing up to do. Yes, I want to watch an FX series about Gen Z. Yeah. What, Seth Rogen's in one of those things I just said? Oh my God. I despise. He's in that Keanu Reeves movie too. Oh, you're right. I just stopped reading. Seth Rogen too. Oh, that's like a shotgun of no talent right there. Jeez, Hollywood Reporter, K-pop stuff. That's for Gal. Ask Gal about K-pop stuff. I don't know anything about K-pop. White Lotus creator Mike White to compete on CBS Survivor 50. I asked this a few days ago. Survivor still a thing? Survivor still a thing? Okay. Handmaid's Tale. Liberals are also fingering themselves over it, and they're getting apparently a spin-off series. God help us all. Better Sister Review. Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks. Oh, I see Elizabeth Banks, and I don't give a fuck. She's a horrible person. Horrible person. Horrible director. Horrible writer. The Morning Show's just returned it with Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, and John Hamm back for season 4 Time Jump. Never watched it. Never will watch it. More there. Okay, that's all we get to do. Entertainment Weekly. Bono reacts to Trump saying U2 got paid to support Kamala and Bruce Springsteen drama. There's only one boss. This is silly and dumb. Whoopi Goldberg is an idiot. Amy Lou Wood. This looks like I think all these people are on the that horrible stupid show I just mentioned. That Handmaid's Tale thing. Yeah, they're all on that, and they're crying. Ellen Burns to discover how grave danger Law and Order organized crime clip. No, I don't watch Law and Order anymore. I haven't watched it for over a decade. It's all crap now. Agenda-driven crap. We already mentioned Jensen Ackles is in a new show. They have a trailer, apparently, though. There's just TV stuff. Sandman dreams up. First look at destruction. And Puck as showrunner previews the final season. I mean, the second season. Because it was canceled. Because Neil Gaiman has a lot of problems. He's in trouble. Jeff Rose's Survivor 50. Last 50 cast cuts were brutal. Again, that's a thing still, apparently. Survivor 50, whatever. Brady Bunch stars for which of their TV siblings had the most interesting storylines. This is all pretty sad and boring here. Let's check movies for that over here. Karate Kid Legends review. That's out? That's out? Okay. Again, this is He's on Sorry movie. F it, especially if it's got Seth Rogen in it. Fountain of Youth. We've sort of heard that earlier. They're working on Top Gun. Robin Williams' Popeye was the most coked up films. I believe it. I believe it. That movie is entertaining, but creepy as hell. You had to be on a lot of cocaine to get through that, man. You had to be on a lot of cocaine to get through that. Okay. A lot of crap here. Doctor Who star David Tennant wanted Pedro Pascal's Fantastic Four. Yeah, we heard about that last week. All right, that's about old stuff here. Entertainment Weekly is not helping us out. IGN. Original Persona 4 voice actor just confirmed the remake is happening. If you like Persona 4, great. I'm not into that franchise. Cyberpunk 2 is officially in pre-production. CD Projekt confirms. So they're trying to get out Witcher 4 and a Cyberpunk 2 game at the same time. We all remember how I know they have fixed Cyberpunk, last one, 2077. They've since fixed it, but that was one of the worst launches of all time. And I'm not interested in these games. Just not. But good luck to you, CD Projekt Red. Because guess what? No longer in CD Projekt Red we trust. That ain't a thing anymore. Hideo Kojima seemingly confirms Death Stranding is getting an anime adaptation. I don't care. Pokemon Legends Z to A release date, pre-order details, upgrade packs, and cover art all revealed. Well, our Pokemon friends are all probably excited about that. I'm not. I don't care about Pokemon. PS4 exclusive The Order 1886 was planned as a first in a trilogy of history-bending games, director reveals. I was always interested in trying to pick that up way back in the day, but I just never got around to it. Expedition 33 was meant to be an intense and short experience, producer says. Well, I'm over 60 hours in at this point, and we're halfway through the game. Granted, I've been doing a lot of grinding, but it's a great experience. I cannot recommend it enough. It's a lot of fun. Of course, now I'm in that point where I'm over-leveled as I play. That's my strategy. I will still dodge and parry best I can, but strategy, Be over-leveled to tank the worst hits. Just power through. That's my strategy. Let's see. Mind Eye CEO makes a number of unsubstantiated claims about negative response to the game and its developer. I don't even know what this is. Animal Crossing gets an update after 3 years. Great. And we heard about this the other day. Marvel Vision Quest gets its Jocasta, which I guess is going to be a thing. I know a little bit about that, but not a lot. All right, moving on to Kotaku. Let's see what we got here. We just saw that Death Stranding anime is coming. How to Master Storm in Rivals. GameStop just bought $500 million worth of Bitcoin. I'm not sure what to think about that. I'll be honest, I don't really understand crypto. I don't understand crypto. And I feel like GameStop, listen, even though I will occasionally go to GameStop for something, I feel like GameStop is a relic of the past. I would much rather buy a game off of Amazon because I'll get a discount. GameStop never discounts anything. I can sometimes get good deals on games if I wait long enough. $5, $10, $15 off. GameStop, always that price. That's just my feeling on that. We've talked about that in the past. Elden Ring Night Rain is a bizarre experiment in Fortnite-ification I can't stop thinking about. I know that a lot of people we hang out with, gaming-wise, YouTube-wise, they're excited for this. Not interested. Not my thing. Especially because I believe I heard it's not cross-platform. I don't think it's cross-platform. So, rumored Persona 4 remake is coming. We just heard about that. Switch 2 startup and menu settings appear online as early player shows off console. Code red leak formation. Yeah, and then it got bricked. They bricked it until the first update. Again, Switch 2, I had not realized it was next week. It's next week. If you're excited, have fun. I ain't buying it. Pokemon Z to A, already talk about that, but gets a $10 upgrade for Switch 2. Internet reacts to Last of Us second season finale. Yeah, it didn't watch it. Nobody watched it. It's losing audience. People watched it, but it's losing audience. I mean, like over 30 million people were watching this show weekly across all HBO Max's platforms, but it's losing audience. It's bleeding numbers. We saw this from yesterday. DC Marvel doing a Deadpool Batman crossover. I don't even comprehend why. Only one first-party Nintendo game won't work on the Switch 2. Sure. Someone's unboxing the Switch 2, but claims needs a down patch. Oh, really? Okay, we just heard about that. All right, enough of that. Moving on. Screen rant. Do we care? We don't care about Handmaid's Tale. I don't care about Sinners. I'm haunted by Andor's decision to leave one character's fate unaddressed. And it's not Cassius. Oh, it's the sister thing again. The cope surrounding people and killing Gilroy trying to explain this plot hole is funny as hell. I really think Marvel just confirmed Spider-Man's next MCU villain. He's an A-lister. Well, we know they already trying to. I mean, I wouldn't call Mr. Negative an A-lister, but he's in there. I don't know what else they're doing there. I know they're trying to put in the Scorpion too, I think. I don't know. There's a lot of problems with that movie. Already we had rumors that they're putting Ruffalo's Hulk in it. And why can't you just have Spider-Man be in a Spider-Man movie? Why can't Spider-Man just be in a Spider-Man movie? I don't know. Karate Kid Legends Rotten Tomatoes revealed. How does it compare to past movies in Cobra Kai? Apothecary Diaries. I'm not watching that. I don't care about it. Listen. All right. This is 10 best shows like Netflix's Sirens. I have a penis. I'm not interested in that stuff. This is painful to look at because I don't even know if any of the stuff you guys would even want me to rant on. Let's just check out Park Place. Harry Potter series let's cost $2 to $8 billion. That's a side attachment to the casting news, I think. Which I have to say, the reactions to the casting of the big three yesterday, I'm fascinated by everybody's reactions. I feel like everybody's acceptance, which is legitimate, it's not, and there's nothing wrong with accepting them, but I feel like everybody's glossing over the fact that the girl who was hired, even though she A lot of people are fine with it. It's still a DEI hire. They still went there, and a lot of people are glossing over that. I mean, I didn't make too big a deal over it yesterday. I just pointed out that it's there. And I feel like, yes, and we should never care about that kind of thing, but it's still not lore accurate. And it's still obviously DEI bullshit. But I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too hard on it. Am I thinking too hard on it? I don't know. Last of Us season 2 finale ratings reveal major drop as audience declines. We've talked about that. An opinion. No, new Sony bad actor detection patent feels a lot like digital social credit score. They're doing that. Well, here's the thing. I don't use Sony monitored lobbies anyway. We're all in Discord. I don't talk with randos. I don't get involved in that, but that's a bad thing if they're doing that. Tom Cruise Lee Grossman movie signals Hollywood potential shift from politically charged films. Sure. We already mentioned that about Ruffalo being in Spider-Man. This is from yesterday now, so we're just going over these that we didn't see. Amazon cancels Wheel of Time, but still pretends Rings of Power was a hit with transparent syndicated spot. All right. That's kind of it on articles. So let's you guys could think on those for a minute. And let's see. Do I have anything to say right now? Do I have anything to say? Okay. No, still just that. Okay. Let me see. Do I have anything else to say on anything? My thoughts, random monologue. I don't know. I mean, the Harry Potter thing was the only real big news of yesterday to cover. My thoughts on a lot of other things are wrapped up in waiting for things to happen. Like, we're waiting to see how Shooty Who ends this week. Yeah, I got nothing. My mind is thinking about other things. Like right now, my mind is thinking about the projects I have to do for you guys. Honestly, that's where my mind is right now. My mind is in the projects I have to do for you guys. I have to write the Disney Star Wars fanfic for you guys. Jed has compiled your suggestions and sent me a document, and I will be going over that very soon, and we'll get to work on that probably next week. I'll get to work on it. I'm also thinking about we're a month away from the tabletop. We're setting up the schedule. Kel, I need to talk to you this weekend and let you know the days we're thinking of and which one works for you. We've already talked to Kratos, and Jed is talking to other people. Guys, yeah. Brad has posted when Grok lost her shit on us or screwed us over during the stream. So go check that out. That is a funny breakdown. That was, you want to see two Star Trek nerds melt down in a moment of frustration? There you go. Right there. That's a funny one. But let me see. So yeah, I'm thinking. So I'm also thinking about that. I'm putting the story together. The campaigns, there are 3 campaigns for the tabletop. We're going to be running probably starting middle of next month. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about a couple other creative ideas I'm working on. I'm thinking about finishing shitting all over Wheel of Time. So I don't really have any poignant thoughts on other things because, when you go a few days and you don't stream with anybody else or you're seeing this stuff happen online. I mean, the closest thing I had is my commentary of my extra commentary there on the Harry Potter casting, that I'm just surprised that everybody is just going, oh, it's okay. And it's okay, yet it's not okay. I mean, if she was the best, if the little girl's the best actress out there, then yeah. But I just can't get around the fact that they did another DEI and everybody's obsessed about Black Snape, but they're not commenting on the second race swap, which it's a race swap, but it is. And I don't think I'm making too big a deal about it. I'm locked in on it mentally. I'm locked in on it. That I'm trying to understand. I mean, all right, here's a thought. Here's a conversation topic right now. Here's my conversation topic right now while you guys think about the articles and possibly other videos to watch today. I wonder if we're losing the narrative a little bit in our sphere. I mean, we've gotten some victories lately. We've moved. We've gained a lot of ground. Clearly, agenda-driven nonsense is falling apart left and right. But I do kind of wonder if everybody's gotten too comfortable, if that's one way to put it. I feel as though sometimes or they're getting desperate. Like sometimes I will see content creators desperate to just put something out. They'll talk about shit that honestly, I don't know why you're talking about it. I don't understand why some of these things they're talking about. Uh, I wonder what's going on here overall. I mean, listen, I would love a world where we could just play video games all the time and talk about nerd shit, but the fight isn't over. All right, take it easy, guys. Have a good day. The fight isn't over. And maybe it's because I'm so low on the totem pole, I'm so down here in the trenches that I'm always looking at the fine print, the details, to try and understand where we are and what the next twist is going to be, where they're going to come at us next, what they're going to destroy next. Maybe because I'm hypersensitive, I'm always looking. Maybe just to me, maybe it's just my warped perspective that a lot of people are just kind of semi-mailing it in now in a way. They're not locking in, or they're so hyper fixated on one thing they don't look at the bigger picture. I don't know. I feel like that there's just a lack of focus now. I don't know. It's just a feeling I have. Hey, Static. It's just a feeling I have, and I'm trying to work it out for myself. You know, I'm trying to work it out for myself. And it's not as though I can just simply put out a video talk about this, because it would kind of just get lost in ether. So on stream like this, I'll express my feelings and see how you guys feel about it. But yeah, it's just kind of strange, and it especially gets strange when there's nothing to talk about. I mean, let's be honest. It's been a very strained couple of weeks when it comes to what's going on. We're in a holding pattern, as it were. We're waiting for July at this point. Waiting for July. And when we get to July, we're going to get a feel for how the rest of the year is going to go between whatchamacallit, dinosaurs, Superman, and baby steps. Yes, Kratos, we do have one video. Kel has got a 40K lore video lined up for us that we'll be watching. But of course, feel free. More videos are welcome. So that's one thing. I just wonder. I wonder where we are, where we're going sometimes. I just wonder about that. And of course, like I said, I'd love nothing more than to not talk about these things, that we'd be past it, but we're not past it is the thing. Just to prove a point. Here we are, and they're still pushing the game. Their game developers still pushing bullshit. There are, and Kel brings up right here that's a good point. That's just where I was just going with that. There is a meme going around out there about the Elder Scrolls 6 development leads. I saw that this morning. I did see that. That is grain of salt. I trust Doomcock about as far as I could throw him. Well, we know there are reshoots going on. That's not news. We know there are reshoots going on. But yeah, let me see if I could find that Elder Scrolls thing. That is something to look at right there. I did see that earlier, which is where that's coming from. That why this isn't over. Let me see if I can find it. Elder Scrolls 6. See if I can find that. Yeah, here it is. Thank you. Yeah. Kel could tell where my mind was. Kel could tell exactly where my mind was. Let's bring this up right here. You guys could see this right here. I mean, so here's my thoughts on this right here, is that the fight isn't over yet. Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be wild. Feels like a bad joke. What are we looking at here? Is that a man or a woman? Those are women, but is that a they them? Is that an it? Is that something that maybe it doesn't maybe have a penis? What are we looking at here? This is the production and studio director, senior character artist with your multicolored hair, senior environment artist with your multicolored hair. It looks like you just saw a penis for the first time in your life. It's like, oh my God, what is that? These are the people making Elder Scrolls 6. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. The battle is not over in pop culture to fight against agenda-driven entertainment, to fight against DEI bullshit. These are the people making one of the most highly anticipated open world role-playing games of all time? You see, one might have a cock static. Yeah, maybe. One on the bottom. I think the one on the top has a cock. Honestly. Well, here's the. I mean, look at this. That one's a dude. We think that one's a dude. We don't know which one of these might be a dude. And they're working on this. And yes, we would want men working on this high octane RPG. But not men who can't decide if they're men or not. This is the result of DEI. This is a result of having people going, oh, everybody should have a chance to work on something. Everybody's qualified. No, meritocracy matters. I very much doubt these beasts have the meritocracy to make Elder Scrolls 6. And that's the problem, too. Elder Scrolls 6 requires experience. It's going to require that you know the lore of Elder Scrolls between the main title games and the on Elder Scrolls ESO, on Elder Scrolls Online. I don't think these people know anything. These are the people you're putting in charge of something that is going to cost you likely $1 billion because they've been working on this game for how long? Another decade-long project. I guarantee these are not the first directors or leads in any of this. These are like the fourth or fifth at this point, and it's the poison of diversity, equity, inclusion. The poison of the Sweet Baby Inks of the world, injecting these people into this, allowing these parasites to infest companies. Now, Bethesda is no stalwart bastion of quality work. It's Bethesda. They are next to, I would say, no. Next to maybe Ubisoft, I guess. Yeah, they are the poster child of broken games at launch. But they still have a history of fantastic games that people have enjoyed. Yet now they took a decade for GTA 6, and they've taken a decade for this. This does not, and you need, and well, here's the thing, and here it kind of leads into my problem. Everybody is still going to show up and buy Elder Scrolls 6 at launch. That's the thing. They're still all going to show up despite this massive red flag. They're still going to show up. Me, I'm not going to because I'm not really a fan of Elder Scrolls. I have a love-hate relationship with it, which usually leans more towards the hate. I've played several of the games, and I've told those stories, and it just in the end really isn't for me. It's not for me. But people are still going to show up for this. And then they're going to keep playing it. And then what's going to happen is, and here's the other part of it. Bethesda is part of a culture of let the modding community fix it. I guarantee the mistakes that this three-headed monster is going to make is going to be fixed by the mods, the modding community, the modders. And that's the reality. Bethesda's so retarded that they have to let the fans fix it. Best of luck with Elder Scrolls 6. Well, or to quote Sam, you're never going to get it. Samuel thinks you're never going to get it. Listen, man, you see this. I don't pay likely $80 for this game. Do not pay $70, $80 for this game. I'm going to say that right now. Don't. It is not the game. Elder Scrolls 6 will not be the game you have been waiting for. When you have land beasts like this, when you have people who you can't tell if they're a man or a woman in charge of all the creative aspects of your game, do not pay the eventual $70 to $80 they're going to ask of this. Because you're going to pay for a game filled with likely crap, broken mechanics that's going to be need to fix by modders. And if you play on console, good luck with that, because they're always late to letting the modding community work on the console version. Jesus Christ. That's a nightmare right there. That's a waking dream nightmare. We're going to bookmark this because we'll come back to it in another topic of discussion. Oh, man. Okay, so we've got a video from Kratos. I'm not sorry, I mean Kel. Kratos is looking for a video. We got a video from Kel. The entire Horus Heresy time, I'm like, ooh, I don't know anything about the Horus Heresy. I don't. I know nothing. I know of it, but I don't know the actual Horus Heresy. This should be entertaining. I know nothing of it. I just know it happened. I know little bits and pieces of it. So let's check this out. Thank you. Stop. We're not starting yet. You auto-playing son of a bitch. You auto-playing bastard. All right. Thank you, Kel, for $20 for now having us go through the Horus Heresy timeline. So we are at Arbiter Ian, 142,000 subscribers. It's got this from 2 years ago. So if you enjoy this guy's clearly, he's probably a lore channel. So if he does a good job, then go check him out. Clearly he knows what he's talking about. Look, he's got White Dwarf. If you don't know what White Dwarf is, White Dwarf was the magazine through which Games Workshop would push their merch and all their stories, stuff like that. It was basically the marketing wing of Games Workshop. I used to read it back when I was playing Fantasy and all the other games like that. I used to, I borrowed a friend's copy. It wasn't mine. I used to borrow my buddy's copy. But yeah, so you could see, and Citadel, all that stuff. So this guy, you could tell from his background, this guy's the real deal. If you've got this stuff up here, that means you're OG. You're old school. All right, so let's check it out. Let's full screen it, and let's have a watch. This is 43 minutes. And I will stop for commentary of stuff I find interesting, because this is now going to be education for me. Your $20 doesn't buy their unbanning. Doesn't buy it. Doesn't buy it at all. So this is your preferred lore channel. Okay, nice. I just want straight lore. That's what I just want. I would just love straight lore. All right, so let's have some fun. This is probably gonna be fun.
Warhammer 40,000's grim, dark history. A decade-long civil war that ripped the galaxy asunder.
Wait a minute, what's going on here? All right, let's go back to the beginning. Okay, here we go.
The Horus Heresy is probably the biggest conflict in Warhammer 40,000's grim, dark history. A decade-long civil war that ripped the galaxy asunder and shaped the Imperium for the next 10,000 years. So, in this video, I'm going to go through the big picture. What happened and when? What battles were fought? And how Horus managed to burn a path all the way to Terra.
See, now, this, I don't know, I don't know. Was Horus Chaos corrupted or not? That's my first question going into this. Was Horus Chaos corrupted, or was this just a power grab to try and take over the Empire? That's my first question going into this. Let's find out.
So the Horus Heresy is huge. It's the formative foundation myth of Warhammer 40,000's lore. The Great Crusade of the Emperor fought in the 30th millennium to unite humanity under his rule, and led by his 18 Primarchs, collapses in the fires of betrayal as his favorite son, Horus Lupercal, falls to chaos and leads half the armies of the...
Okay, so he fell to chaos. See, I do know what I'm talking about. When I see something like that, my first thought is, Did this guy fall to chaos? And yes, he fell to chaos. Question is, which chaos? Which chaos? Which one? I'm sure we'll be told. My guess, looking at that doesn't look like corn. That looks like it might be, it might be Slaanesh. Might be Slaanesh. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out.
The Imperium against him in a war fought across every sector of the galaxy. The results tear the nascent Imperium apart, shatter the dreams of the Emperor, and lead to 10,000 years of stagnation, repression, and decline. It's so huge that I've already done a load of videos on it, from retrospectives on how the story has evolved over the last 30 years to lore videos on all the factions in it. But until relatively recently, it hasn't been that possible to tell the story of the whole thing in detail, because it didn't exist. But years of Black Library novels and Forge World gamebooks have allowed us to construct a pretty detailed picture, at least of what happened in what year. And so in this...
Yeah, the Black Library, for those who don't know, that's the especially novelization wing of the 40K universe.
I'm going to try and tell the story from the start to the end. How Horus's initial decisions laid the plans for rebellion early on, and how a surprisingly dogged loyalist defense made it harder and harder for the traitors to hold it all together. But it's worth saying that the history of the Horus heresy is still a work in progress. It's not real. So events are still being added, and it's such a big conflict that you can add your own. That's what a lot of the narrative gaming events that happen are for. And of course, being so big and so bedded into the lore, there's a few different places you could start. Like most real-world wars, you can pick a number of dates as the start of the Horus heresy, but I'm going to start this account at the turn of the 32nd millennium, in year 0 M31, as Horus Lupercal, Primarch of the Lunar Wolves, is named War Master. But it's worth examining the world in which this happens. The Horus heresy occurred towards the end of the 200-year-long Great Crusade. In the late 600s, M30, the Emperor had fought the unification wars on Earth, conquering the wasted planet and pushing out into the solar system. The nascent Imperium had forged a steady alliance with the tech priests of nearby Mars, absorbed the naval powers of Saturn and Jupiter, and pacified the Selenar gene cults on Luna, all of which allowed the construction of the great fleets and armies that the Emperor's plans
for the
required.
Empire.
The first expeditionary fleets of the Great Crusade departed the solar system in 798.
You gotta respect the what's a good word for it? The unique design. I mean, it's the design of the 40K ships. You instantly know these are 40K warships. These are that you instantly recognize this stuff right away without question. Boom! I'm looking at something out of 40K. Wow! Bam!
30, composed of ships new and ancient and carrying hundreds of thousands of foot soldiers, headed by the pride of the Imperium, the 20 genetically engineered legions of the Legiones Astartes. Over the next 200 years, over 3,000 expeditionary fleets would conquer the galaxy, negotiating or forcing compliance on the scattered human colonies and empires they encountered, and fighting wars of extermination against alien species.
Fighting the orcs. Fighting the orcs. ORK, not ORC. When you're in 40K, it's ORK. See, now I wonder how much they'll go into the fact that despite their own problems, there's always a threat. Whether it's the orcs, the Tyranids, or something else like that, there's always another threat out there that's going on that you have to worry about. And also other chaos, not just like chaos space marines, or like actual chaos legions, demons and shit like that,
with the Emperor at their head. Over time, the fleets discovered the 20 Primarchs, the Emperor's intended generals, and the genetic templates of the legions, who had been scattered during their creation, and they each took control of their legion, though 2 were lost in the alien wars to come. In order of discovery, these were Horus Lupercal of the 16th Legion Lunar Wolves on Chthoniya, Leman Russ of the 6th Legion Space Wolves on Fenris, Ferrus Manus of the 10th Legion Iron Hands on Medusa, Fulgrim of the 3rd Legion Emperor's Children on Chemos, Vulcan of the 18th Legion Salamanders on Nocturne, Rogul Dawn of the 7th Legion Imperial Fists on Inwit, Robut Gilliman of the 13th Legion Ultramarines on Macragge, Magnus the Red of the 15th Legion Thousand Sons on Prospero, Sanguinius of the 9th Legion Blood Angels on Baal, Lion L. Johnson of the 1st Legion Dark Angels on Caliban, Hurtarabo of the 4th Legion Iron Warriors on Olympus, Mortarion of the 14th Legion Death Guard on Barbarus, Lorgar of the 17th Legion Word Bearers on Colchis, Jagatai Khan of the 5th Legion White Scars on Chogodis, Conrad Kurz of the 8th Legion Night Lords on Nostromo, Angron of the 12th Legion World Eaters on Nuceria, Corax of the 19th Legion Raven Guard on Deliverance, and finally, the twin Primarchs Alfarius Omegon of the 20th Alpha Legion. And they're pretty...
I gotta say, you look at... One thing you always gotta love is just the armor design. The ultra badass armor design of all these guys. These are like the supreme badasses, and they look it. And I always love that. I always love the design of that. Anyway, you're not banned.
Pretty much going to be our cast for the rest of this. By the end of the 2nd century of the Crusade, in the late 900s M30, a tipping point had been reached. Humanity was the dominant force in the galaxy. The biggest alien threats, if not exterminated, then on their way there, and the completion of the Great Crusade all but inevitable. Of course, that isn't to say everything was perfect. Many of the Primarchs had been damaged by their experiences growing up, and some legions had considerable differences with mainstream Imperial culture. After a campaign at Zaramund, the Dark Angels had suffered such schism in their ranks that they effectively exiled a part of their legion, committing them to a permanent garrison on the homeworld of Caliban in 970 M30. The Night Lords and their Primarch were a renegade legion in all but name, and after decades of torturous psychic visions and what they saw as betrayal by their homeworld, Nostramo, they returned and destroyed it in 984.
Jeez.
Many of the Primarchs, especially the later discovered ones, harbored discontent at the methods of an emperor who, racing against time to complete his plans, had thrown them into the Crusade at the head of an unfamiliar army with barely any time for them to acclimatize to this new Imperium. The most egregious example of this was Lorgar, Primarch of the Word Bearers, who defied the imperial truth, the Emperor's decree that the Imperium would be secular. All religion and worship was banned in the Imperium, part of the Emperor's plan to defeat the dark forces of chaos.
All right, there. That's Nurgle. That's Nurgle. That is a great unclean one, right there. That's a great unclean one. Fought one of those once in a game, or was it no. Anyway, great unclean one. The greater demon of Nurgle.
Upon humanity. But Lorgar was a man of faith and had spent a good portion of the Crusade indoctrinating the world.
I kind of wonder, as we keep playing Darktide, if there's a great unclean one at the bottom of one of those levels one of these days. I mean, I'm sure we would have heard about it now, but that's what to fight a great unclean one. I mean, I've fought Bloodthirsters. I fought in Warhammer Online. I fought Bloodthirsters. What's the giant bird one called? I just forgot its name. What's Zench's one called? I forget what Zench's greater demon is called. Shit. I forget what that one's called. Still, I fought that one before. But yeah, there has to be a great unclean one. I think probably where I fought a great unclean one, probably somewhere in Age of Reckoning when I was playing it back then. I probably fought a great unclean one then, because even though in Age of Reckoning you're fighting against the forces of Zench in Age of Reckoning, you're still fighting other chaos stuff. Like there are levels where like there's a Bloodthirster boss at the bottom of one dungeon. Of course, there's Slaanesh stuff in there too, and there was probably I believe that's where I probably fought a great unclean one.
Worlds he conquered into the belief that the Emperor was a god. When the truth was finally revealed, the Emperor punished and humiliated Lorgar, and while on the surface the Primarch repented, in secret he just turned to the worship of the dark powers of the warp instead. By the end of the 30th millennium, far away at the edge of the Crusade, Lorgar and his word bearers had fallen completely to the worship of chaos and had started to put plans in motion for the overthrow of the Imperium. Horus Lupercal was the greatest of the Primarchs. Leader of the 16th Legion, the Lunar Wolves, he'd been with the Emperor since almost the start of the Crusade. A peerless leader and diplomat, one of the few amongst his brothers who could command all their respect. But the opening years of the 31st millennium would see his slow fall from grace. The Orc Empire of Ulanor was the final...
Wog! Wog! I'm an Orc player. That's where my allegiances lie. I'm a greenskin player.
Great alien threat to the Imperium. And in the opening year of M31, the Imperium laid it waste. 100,000 Astartes, including elements from the White Scars, the Ultramarines, and the Lunar Wolves, led by Horus and the Emperor himself, and supported by millions more human troops, defeated the Orc warlord Urlak Urg and fractured his empire.
See, that's the key. You need to understand, when you're dealing with an Orc, when a Wog starts, and for those who don't know, a Wog is essentially when all the Orcs unite, whether it's in fantasy or in 40K. The Orcs unite under a Wog. It's because somewhere, somehow, an Orc warlord has just risen to the top of the pack. He's killed everybody that was his rival, and he has gotten so big and so huge and so strong that every single Orc clan will bow to him. And suddenly, what were splintered Orc were fighting around is suddenly now a united massive force and can number in the millions upon millions. And a Wog will keep going as long as the warlord keeps going. So if you're gonna stop a Wog, you have to stop the warlord. And that's the key point here. They just mentioned that. As soon as the war boss is dead, because the war boss is the only thing keeping the animosity. That's the greatest thing about Orcs in 40K. Is the animosity. Every turn, you have to roll an animosity check to see if your troops start fighting each other. And only Black Orcs never fall to animosity, or certain Orc war bosses can keep the animosity in check. But in realistically, without the fun mechanic of that in the game, a war boss keeps animosity in check. As soon as the war boss is dead, the Orcs will not only splinter because they're only fighting because they're afraid of the war boss, and then they're taken over by bloodlust. But as soon as the war boss, the warlord, is not there to keep them going, one, they lose their will to fight. Their will is broken. And two, they'll start fighting each other. That's the glory of it. Yeah, Gobos. Once in a while, there could be a goblin war boss. Once in a while. It's not unheard of. It's not unheard of. It happens. Usually it's an Orc, though. So that's the key thing there. Once the warlord is dead, the Wog is over. And that's sometimes you hope that maybe the warlord dies on his own, because in the later years, not this point, but the later time, sometimes, man, those Wogs are unstoppable. And you just have to hope it runs out of gas on its own. That's how bad it can get. I love Orcs. I love them.
In celebration, the Emperor declared a great triumph to be held to recognize the glory of the Crusade, and it was attended by every martial force of the Imperium, including representatives from every legion and 9 of the Primarchs. And at this triumph, the Emperor declared his retirement from the Crusade. Time was still against him, and he had other tasks to achieve if humanity would be safe. And so, with the Crusade now unstoppable, he named Horus the War Master of the Imperium, in charge of prosecuting the Crusade to the very end. The Emperor himself would return to Terra to complete work on his secret Webway project, an attempt to release humanity from its dependence on dangerous interstellar warp travel. There was little disagreement. Some of the Primarchs might have considered themselves the better claimant to such a role, but Horus was loved by all, and his brothers pretty much fell in line as the Crusade continued. Over the next couple of years, Horus commanded the trajectory of the Crusade with ease. The White Scars hunted the remnants of the Orc Empire into the isolated Chondak system, and the rest of the legions ventured off again into the darkness. The Emperor stayed true to his word, only emerging again in 01 M31 for the Council of Nicaea to resolve the question of the use of psychic powers by the legions. The Primarchs Magnus the Red, Sanguinius, and Jagatai Khan advocated for these new librarius departments, but the Emperor sided with the detractors, Liman Rus and Mortarion, and officially banned the use of psychic powers by the legions before returning to Terra to continue his work. This caused no small measure of upset, but the departure of the emperor coincided with a few other developments that strained the legions. The emperor's children enacted the cleansing of the Xenos planet of Lairan, defeating the alien Leia within a month, but the influence of the Leia caused the legion's apothecaries to start experimenting with the legion's gene seed in imitation. And the sword their Primarch Fulgrim took from the wreckage of the civilization was an ancient demon blade that began his long corruption. And on the planet...
man. Oh, God. I was a bit wary of your loot. Cursed items. Cursed items.
Of Nerth, the Alpha Legion were brought into contact with a group of ancient Xenos species known as the Cabal, who warned them of the upcoming war and how, in their opinion, the triumph of Horus would actually save the galaxy by destroying humanity once and for all. But both of these paled to the fall of Horus himself. As War Master, Horus was already under pressure, but he also felt for the first time abandoned and not a little resentful of his father and of this changing Imperium. For centuries, the Imperium was the Primarchs and the Crusade, but with the new Council of Terror taking control of compliance systems, with remembrancers moving through the fleets to document their actions, and with the Emperor gone to apparently more important matters, what the Astartes and the Primarchs would do once it was all over started to weigh on all their minds. Horus wanted a legacy. Initially, he tried magnanimity.
All right, so it always starts with ego. Starts with ego, born of desire. So he didn't like being left alone, apparently. But now, of course, now I want to put my mark on something. Put my mark on it.
When his Crusade fleet encountered the civilized Interax in 002, Horus chose to overlook their alliance with alien species in the name of collaboration, despite his commander's calls for war. But when an ancient demon weapon, preserved by the Interax as a warning from history, was stolen during the negotiations and war inevitably occurred, his plans for a new way of running the Crusade were shattered. With some Primarchs still chafing at the new commander and seeking to visibly reinforce his authority, he finally gave in to a request by the Emperor in 03 and renamed his legion the Sons of Horus. But the turning point was still to come. Unknown to Horus, it was the chaplain Erebus of the Word Bearers who had stolen that demon weapon from the Interax. In 04...
I would like... what I'm missing here is which demon, like which chaos influences. That kind of matters. Which chaos god is influencing this shit? I'm kind of curious for which chaos god is the root of the problem here. I kind of feel like it would be Zinch or Slanish, because that's not a Khorne type of thing, and it's definitely not a Nurgle type of thing.
Or he gave the Anathame weapon to Eugen Temba, human commander of the world of Davin, whose disappointment at being left behind by the Crusade was exploited by the weapon, which overcame and possessed him. Erebus then called Horus to Davin on a matter of urgency and manipulated him into leading the assault on Temba's position himself. While Horus killed the mutant thing that Temba had become, he was mortally wounded by the Anathame in return.
Stop. All right, that looks Nurgle-ish to me. That looks Nurgle-ish to me. That looks like it's got full of pestilence and nasty. So maybe it's a weapon of Nurgle.
Far from support, and with the War Master dying of an unknown warp illness, the distraught Sons of Horus gave in to Erebus's suggestion that Horus be handed over to the Serpent Lodge for a spiritual cure, something many of them were very uncomfortable with, especially because it turned out to be a chaos-worshipping cult kept alive in secret by the Word Bearers on that planet.
Oh, man.
Inside the Serpent Lodge of Davin, Erebus's devotion to chaos was revealed, and the Chaos Powers showed Horus a dark future, where the Emperor was worshipped as a god, and Horus was forgotten, claiming this was the Emperor's plan all along.
Well, the Emperor is worshipped as a god. He is worshipped as a god.
Magnus the Red, far away on Prospero, illegally used his psychic powers to try and wake Horus to keep him from falling, but he was rejected, and for whatever reason, whether his growing discontent or his manipulation by the powers of chaos, Horus fell. For the rest of 04, Horus recovered and moved swiftly to secure his position before he chose to reveal this new treachery. But he wasn't the only one moving swiftly. After Horus's rejection of Magnus's pleas, Magnus decided that the Emperor needed to be warned. Seeking to prove how useful his psychic powers could be, he enacted a ritual to project his spirit form into the Emperor's throne room to warn him of Horus's treachery, but the plan backfired. The message was lost, and the psychic intrusion broke the seals on the Webway project, which was then invaded by hordes of warp demons.
That looks like a little Corn invasion right there. That's a Corn invasion. That's a. I don't know if that's a bloodthirster, but that looks like Corn demons.
The war in the Webway broke out. The effort required to keep the demons at bay would see the Emperor confined to the Golden Throne for the rest of the war, lest the whole of Terra be lost to chaos. Furious, the Emperor demanded Magnus and his legion be brought before him in chains and tasked Leman Russ and his Space Wolves to do this. But Horus was already in the process of planning his first open moves and took advantage. As War Master, the orders came through him, and he made it clear that Magnus was to be killed. And so
this is fascinating. And what I love the most about this is the manipulation of chaos, because you have to, those who are uninitiated have to understand, even though this human empire was winning, the core of this universe is rotting. It's already dead because of chaos, because of the void, because of the four gods, Korn, Zinch, Slaanesh, and Nurgle, who all hate each other, by the way. Don't get this wrong. Chaos, they all hate each other, but they are unified in one goal of destroying reality and turning reality into the void. So I love the way that no matter how hard they try, chaos is constantly seeping in between the cracks and corrupting people, because that's what it does. That's what it does.
During the Battle of Prospero, the loyal Space Wolves Legion almost destroyed the loyal Thousand Suns Legion, laid waste to their planet, and broke the back of Magnus, who managed to spirit away the final remnants of his legion to a planet deep within the Eye of Terror. With nowhere else to go, the Thousand Suns would eventually end up siding with the traitors. Meanwhile, Horus was using his position as War Master to show favor to his potential allies. He provoked war with the advanced Orician technocracy, using the rare technology they possessed as a bargaining chip to turn Mars and the Mechanicum to his side. He favored the Emperor's Children, Death Guard, World Eaters, Iron Warriors, and Night Lords with better resupplies, even encouraging the Iron Warriors in the destruction of their homeworld, Olympia. And as the year turned to 05, he dispatched those he thought would remain loyal on campaigns to the furthest edges of the galaxy. The Blood Angels were sent to Cygnus Prime, officially to confront the Xenos Nephilim, but they became embroiled in a war against a horde of demons and lost from communication with the rest of the Imperium. The powerful Dark Angels Legion was sent to the far-off eastern fringes on crusades of conquest, and the Ultramarines, the largest of the legions, were ordered to muster in their own domains, also on the eastern fringe, ahead of a huge apparent war of conquest to come. Finally, with his pieces in position, in 05, Horus gathered 4 legions to the rebellious world of Istvan III, officially to put down the rebellion in a show of strength, but in reality, this was his chance to rid his allies of their more loyalist elements. The Sons of Horus, Death Guard, World Eaters, and Emperor's Children deployed those units and officers they felt would never turn to the surface to crush the rebellion, and then annihilated the planet with virus bombs from orbit. The intention was that this too would be a secret, but when the survivors managed to hide out in the underground shelters of the planet and the war dragged on the surface, one ship managed to escape. The Eisenstein, commanded by the loyalist Death Guard captain Nathaniel Garrow, eventually managed to reach Terra and inform the Imperium of the betrayal. The news was out. Horus and 3 other legions had turned traitor. The Imperium, led by the Primarch Rogel Dawn of the Imperial Fists, attempted to formulate a response. The Blood Angels and the Ultramarines were still out of contact at the edges of the Imperium. The Dark Angels were...
I mean, that's great. I mean, Horus sent his what would be the strongest forces against him to realms outside of easy communication. It's really good. That's a villain right there. That's a villain.
Broiled against the Gordian League on Diamat, and the White Scars were still prosecuting the Chondax campaign, kept artificially isolated from communication by Horus. As such, a retribution fleet was assembled from the legions that were contactable, smaller legions that Horus had left in the relative center of the Imperium. And this fleet was tasked with blockading the Isstvan system and bringing the traitor legions to justice. The Iron Hands, Raven Guard, and Salamanders would arrive first and await reinforcements from the Word Bearers, Iron Warriors, Night Lords, Alpha Legion, and finally the Imperial Fists, making the long journey from Terra. But as the forces moved into position, rebellions broke out elsewhere. In late 05, the Schism of Mars began as the Fabricator Generals sided with Horus and an oily civil war erupted. The Imperial Fists had to divert forces to rescue war material from the planet, while their section of the Retribution fleet was becalmed in the warp and made no progress to Isstvan. At the Isstvan system, the Raven Guard, Salamanders, and Iron Hands arrived in early 06 under the command of the Iron Hands Primarch, Ferrus Manus, but he was so incensed by the betrayal, he opted to make immediate planetfall against the traitor defenses prepared on the world of Isstvan 5 instead of waiting for the full Imperial response to arrive. The initial assault consisted of the majority of the Raven Guard and Salamander's legions, assisted by the elite of the Iron Hands, and it pushed into the Urgal Depression, facing the guns of the Sons of Horus, World Eaters, Death Guard, and Emperor's Children. But as their reinforcements landed behind them, the battle turned into a massacre. The second wave, the Word Bearers, Alpha Legion, Iron Warriors, and Night Lords, revealed their loyalty to Horus, and the Loyalists were cut down in a brutal crossfire. Ferrus Manus was killed by his brother Fulgrim, and the majority of the Raven Guard and Salamander's legions were slaughtered. The Primarch of the Salamanders, Vulcan, was taken prisoner by Conrad Kurz of the Night Lords, and the Primarch of the Raven Guard, Corax, fought a weeks-long guerrilla war in the rubble before being rescued by his own fleet. With this move, the battle lines had been drawn. 9 legions had sided with Horus, and they'd succeeded in killing one Primarch, capturing another, and almost destroying 2 entire Loyalist legions. But the Loyalists fought back wherever they could. The remnants of the Salamanders and the Raven Guard, along with the leaderless companies of the Iron Warriors, would continue to harass the traitor forces for the rest of the war as the guerrilla companies known as the Shattered Legions, picking up isolated loyalist elements as they went. And while the main Imperial Fists fleet never reached Isstvan, a separate fleet managed to blockade the Sons of Horus' home planet of Chthoniya and fought a brutal war through the tunnels and caverns of the planet for the rest of the conflict. Though the heresy was revealed, the Loyalists were still largely on the back foot, so Horus dispatched his allies to reinforce his initial advantage. At the end of 06, hot on the heels of the Drop Site massacre, the Alpha Legion assaulted and seized Paramar and, accompanied by elements of the Emperor's Children, the system of Beta Garman, both of which would be strategically important for the traitors' eventual march on Terra. The Sons of Horus, aided by the Death Guard, assaulted the valuable industrial sectors of the Coronid Deeps, starting the Manichaean War as they attempted to turn the vital forge worlds of the area to their cause. All 3 of these conflicts would persist for years. Much of the Imperium was still in darkness. The Blood Angels had defeated the hordes of demons on Cygnus Prime.
Nobody knows what's going on. That's the fascinating part. That because as advanced as this all is, communication sucks. Clearly, they're not able to communicate with each other instantly. There's no HoloNet. There's no HyperNet. There's no long-range communications. Once you're out there in the far reaches of the galaxy, crushing alien species, you don't know what's going on. So you emerge from your war, and you only find out that your greatest champion has been corrupted by chaos, and is now trying to destroy everything that he and you still fight for. He used to fight for, and you still fight for. That's so interesting. It's fascinating.
Shaken by the first mass appearance of what would later become known as the Red Thirst. And the Dark Angels, attacked by a rogue Sons of Horus fleet in the Rangda system, had been alerted to the events of Isstvan, but Horus still had plans to unfurl. In 07, the Night Lords were dispatched to the Eastern Fringe to draw the Dark Angels into a series of conflicts across the Ultima Segmentum known as the Thramas Crusade. Conrad Kurz and his legion caused chaos and distraction on Sagwalsa and across the Triplex and Thramas sectors, keeping the Dark Angels occupied for the next few years. Meanwhile, Lorgar and his word bearers
one of the things that is fascinating is that these wars, these hot points in this whole war, these things go on for years and years and years. Now it's like, oh, Fighting done, move on. No, this is years of fighting. Years. I love it when they're able to construct a narrative that goes on like that.
Way to the great Ultramarines muster point at Calth, one of the few areas of the galaxy still in the dark about the heresy. The Ultramarines and their Primarch, Robert Gilliman, had been ordered by Horus to gather their forces and await reinforcement from the Word Bearers before pushing outwards to contest a nearby area of the galaxy held by Orcs. At the orbital shipyards of Calth, the Word Bearers betrayed the Ultramarines, opening fire and destroying hundreds of ships and raining debris down on the planet itself. Dedicating the deaths to the gods of the warp, the Word Bearers enacted a dark ritual that saw Calth's sun poisoned and raised the Ruin Storm, a great warp storm that would keep the Eastern Fringe isolated from the rest of the Imperium, with the Dark Angels, Ultramarines, and Blood Angels trapped on the far side. At the same time, traitor Titan legions mustering with the World Eaters on Ithaca as part of the same push turned on the loyalist Legio Praesidius. The conflicts at Calth and Ithaca became the beginnings of the Crusade of Iron, as the remnants of Praesidius sought revenge for the betrayal at Ithaca, and the Shadow Crusade, as Word Bearers and World Eaters under the...
I just want to stop for a second. Imagine if they actually made movies and TV on this stuff, which what Cavill is trying to do. Henry Cavill's trying to do this stuff. Imagine watching well-produced, well-respected adaptations of this stuff, animated or live action. Imagine how cool. Why do you think a lot of us are so excited and so desperate for Henry Cavill's Warhammer 40K deal with Amazon? With Amazon to work? Because this would be so badass to watch, man. Any one of these stories would be incredible to watch.
The command of their Primarchs, Lorgar and Angron, rampaged across Ultramar, all in revenge for the Word Bearers' humiliation at the hands of the Ultramarines all those years ago. But they weren't the only legion looking for revenge. The Iron Warriors, leaving Istvan, took the opportunity to attack their old rivals, the Imperial Fists, first assaulting the becalmed Retribution fleet.
I think that's awesome that now at this point, because we got the war going on, the heresy, now it's like, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, back in the day, the Emperor and Horus, they managed to keep us all aligned. We're all working towards the same goal. Not F it. We're gonna go back to old blood beefs. I never liked you, so I'm going to kill your ass now. Now I'm going to take this chance to get revenge on you. I love that.
During the Battle of the Fall system, and then assaulting the Imperial Fists garrison on Hydra Caudatus. Linking up with the Emperor's children and their Primarch, Fulgrim, they then journeyed deep into the Eye of Terror on a quest to find the weapon known as the Angel Exterminatus. But Fulgrim betrayed Perturabo on the Crone world of Idris, attempting to sacrifice him to fuel his own ascension to demonhood. Perturabo escaped, but Fulgrim was still transformed into a demon prince of Slanesh. By this point, the heresy was
finally we got a mention of what we're going. So, all right, so now we know that. So, I guess all these different heresy legions, I guess they're all worshiping different chaos gods. I guess that's what's going on here. So now we got this. We got an open worship of Slaanesh. Ah, that's cool. Oh man, and all right. So Slaanesh is basically perversion incarnate. That no better way to put it without getting too graphic. Slaanesh is perversion incarnate, and that's you gotta know with the Slaanesh. I mean, Slaanesh's own avatar. You don't know what it is, man, woman, it thing. That truly is non-binary. Slaanesh really could be whatever he wants for his pleasures. He is the god of pleasure. It's all about pleasure. He was a generalist, so chaos in general was all Horus cared about. But I like it here now that we finally have a concrete. This guy worships Slaanesh. I like knowing that. I like knowing which factions are in play here, or what they're worshiping.
And with it, war broke.
Just for the point, because when you're dealing with a faction, when you know what chaos god you're dealing with, you know what they're doing. Like, perfect example, on Darktide, we're fighting Nurgle in Darktide. That's why it's covered in pestilence and disgustingness, disease, and that's clear. You know what we're dealing with there. Now with Slaanesh, now we know what we're dealing with here, with at least that particular legion. If it was Khorne, it'd be nothing but death and destruction. Another more blood for the blood god, another skull for the throne, so to speak.
Out across the galaxy as Astartes, human, and Mechanicum forces all declared either for the Loyalists or the traitors. But there was one legion that still hadn't declared. Still on campaign, hunting the orcs of Chondax, the White Scars had been kept in the dark by the Alpha Legion, who'd been blocking all communication in and out of the system. But the Alpha Legion were not as united as they appeared, and during the Tenebrae mission, the Primarch Omegon dispatched a force of legionnaires to destroy the Legion's own blocking station, allowing news of the heresy to filter through. Confused, the White Scars and their Primarch Jagatai Khan broke through the Alpha Legion blockade and made all speed to Prospero, attempting to verify the rumors they'd been fed that the Space Wolves had turned traitor and destroyed the Thousand Suns. In the second Battle of Prospero, they fought past Death Guard forces led by Mortarion and discovered one of the broken shards of Magnus the Red in the ruins, and learning the truth, the White Scars declared for the Emperor. They'd fight a fast-paced guerrilla war across the Imperium for the next few years as they attempted to make the journey back to Terra. As well as the White Scars, the Alpha Legion also waylaid and ambushed the Space Wolves in the Alaxes Nebula, who were coming to realize that they had also been tricked. Also, planning to return to Terra, they were only able to begin their journey when the Dark Angel's Starfort Chimera, loyal to the Lutherian exiles on Caliban, but totally unaware of the heresy, broke the Alpha Legion blockade of the Nebula. Finally, through the whole of 07, the Loyalists attempted to fight back. Corax of the Raven Guard traveled to Terra and was gifted rare genetic technology by an embattled emperor, which he then attempted to use to hothouse new Astartes on his Legion base of Deliverance. However, the project had yet again been infiltrated by the Alpha Legion, who seemed really well prepared for this. And the resulting Astartes, created by the Sabotage Project, were horrifically mutated, while the Alpha Legion made off with the genetic samples. Putting aside the project, as 7 turned to 8, the Raven Guard launched into a new wave of guerrilla assaults on Skarato, Constantin, and Karindiru, as other shattered Legion forces were starting to seriously hamper the traitor advance. The war in the Coronid Deeps concluded with the taking of the Forge world of Mezoa, and then the fall of Manichaea itself, freeing the War Master's forces up to push onwards, but a shattered Legion force led by the Iron Hand Shadrach Meduson held out on the planet of Dwell, and used their position to lure the War Master into an assassination attempt. Later in the year, a second attempt will be made on the War Master's life by an execution force of Imperial assassins on the world of Dagonet, leading to brutal reprisals by the Sons of Horus across the Imperium. The Iron Hands clan Morrigal, led by Ortek Moore, annihilated the World Eater's recruiting world of Bolt. And far away on Perditus, the Dark Angels came to the aid of an Iron Hands force fighting Kalas Typhon and his Death Guard, and came away with the mysterious Tukulka device, which allowed them to navigate with some success through the warp storms of the Eastern Fringe. Also beyond the Ruin Storm, the Shadow Crusade came to its conclusion on the world of Nuceria, the home world of Angron. As the Word Bearers and World Eaters destroyed the planet's population, they came under attack by an Ultramarines reprisal fleet led by Guilliman, and in the resulting slaughter, Lorgar attempted to save his brother Angron by turning him into a demon prince of Khorne. The end of the Shadow Crusade was then followed by the end of the
Crusade. Hang on, let's go. Oh man, let's go back and look at that for a second there.
Lorgar attempted to save his brother Angron by turning him into a demon prince.
Dude. Now you're getting serious, dude. People becoming demon princes. Holy shit.
Khorne. The end of the Shadow Crusade was then followed by the end of the Crusade of Iron at the Battle of Druth II, where both the Loyalist and traitor Titan commanders were killed. Elsewhere, the fires of war continued to burn. On Kauth, a brutal underground war emerged between the Ultramarine and Word-Bearer forces stranded during the betrayal, unable to set foot outside because of the poisoned sun. Loyalist and traitor Titans fought over the Mydran system. Mechanicum's civil war erupted through the Forge worlds of Anvilus, and the traitor fleet besieged important Loyalist worlds, the Blood Angels' home world of Baal, that had become something of a bastion of defiance for those Loyalists who escaped Istvan, and the Imperial Fist's home world of Inwit were both blockaded by traitor fleets in 08 and 09. As the traitors were mostly freed from conflict in the Coronid Deeps, the Solar Auxilia Marshal Ayrton Massad had rallied Imperial forces at Numenor and Agathon, but the major Forge worlds had all fallen into the traitors' hands. Horus set his sights on the next step of his plan, the night world of Morlech, the site of a gateway into the realm of chaos, one that the Emperor had used thousands of years previously to steal knowledge from the Chaos powers. Horus would need to make a similar bargain if he wished to defeat the Emperor. A huge invasion was launched in 09, headed by the Sons of Horus and the Death Guard under Mortarion, where the first Plague Marines saw battle. Though the capital
Plague
of
Marines, damn. All right. I know. I remember hearing about Plague Marines from my buddies back in the day. Holy shit. Damn.
Percalia was heavily defended by Knights, Blood Angels, and Ultramarines. It eventually fell when the Night House Divine turned traitor. At the same time, on the far western edge of the galaxy, the traitor-aligned Forge world of Zana suffered numerous raids, first by emerging Black Shield forces, Marine forces that fought on neither side for the heresy, and then by a Dark Angels force who recovered Ordinatus engines intended for the Sons of Horus. The chaos on that world would lead to the release of the tech heretic Anacharis Scoria and the eventual transformation of the planet into the first of the Hell Forges. The Dark Angels were also active beyond the Ruinstorm. Aided by the Tukulka device, they finally managed to scatter the Night Lord's fleet at Sheol 9, their Primarch Kurz eventually escaping to the depths of the Dark Angels' flagship, the Invincible Reason. With the Night Lords no longer a threat, the fleet headed through the warp storms towards Ultramar, where the warp beacon of the Pharos had been lit on Sotha by scattered Imperial fists and loyalist Iron Warriors working alongside the Ultramarines. Over the course of the next year, more and more scattered loyalist elements would arrive in the Ultramarines' domain, following the signal beacon of the Pharos, including the Blood Angels fleet, still attempting to return from Cygnus. This would lead to one of the more controversial events of the period. Unaware of if the Imperium even still existed beyond the Ruinstorm, and fearing that the Emperor had already been defeated, Guilliman declared Imperium Secundus, a new Imperium, with Sanguinius of the Blood Angels as its Emperor, and Lion L. Johnson of the Dark Angels as its Lord Protector, neither of whom were particularly comfortable with the idea, even if they understood its reason for existing. After a brief incident in which Conrad Kurz escaped the Dark Angels flagship and caused terror across the capital of Macragge, eventually resulting in the partial destruction of the Pharos device at the Battle of Sotha, he was captured and imprisoned by the Loyalists, who also rediscovered the body of Vulcan, Primarch of the Salamanders, incoherent and barely aware since his escape from the Night Lord's flagship at Thramas. The following year, in Year 10, the Salamanders present in the Imperium Secundus would battle through the Ruinstorm to return their Primarch to their homeworld of Nocturne, defeating the Death Guard during the Battle of Nocturne and eventually resurrecting Vulcan. Existing conflicts exploded across the Belt of Iron, a region of space held by several prized Forge worlds. Religious differences pulled more and more of the Mechanicum into a conflict that became known as the Cataclysm of Iron, which eventually involved the worlds of Urdesh, Atar Medium.
I'm just going to pause for a second. I'm sorry. I'm wrapped with attention here because this is fascinating. This is such good stuff. And I just keep thinking I'd love to see this actually be a show. Fantastic.
Calabrax and Valia Maximal and their respective Titan legions. Another major theatre opened on the planet of Talan, as the Iron Warriors, finally escaping from the Eye of Terror, laid waste to the planet in the hope of capturing the Black Oculus, an ancient artifact buried beneath its surface. Virus bombs turned the once verdant world into an endless desert. The Loyalist forces forced to fight from within sealed vehicles in what would become the biggest tank engagement of the Horus Heresy. Elsewhere, the Loyalists went on the offensive, Rogel Dawn of the Imperial Fists organizing a massive counter-offensive on the war-racked world of Beta Garment, the largest concentration of Loyalist forces in the galaxy at that time, led by the Imperial Fists and the Salamanders, pushed out the Emperor's Children garrison at the First Battle of Nearcon and left the system in Imperial hands, though a traitor counterattack would start before the end of the year, as Horus finally started his push towards Terra. And as the traitors realigned towards their goal, the Solar War began, as Alpha Legion forces started to test the defenses of the solar system itself. The first major conflict of which was the Battle of Pluto, as over 200 Alpha Legion ships assaulted the Imperial monitoring stations there. The battle was ended when Rogaldorn killed the Primarch Alfarius, scattering the Alpha Legion fleet, but raids and attacks would continue for the next few years. But as the traitors started to gather for the push to Terra, so did the disparate loyalists. In 11, the White Scars, still searching for a route back to Terra while conducting a hit-and-run campaign for the last 4 years, made two major advances.
Right, so
First, against the Emperor's Children at the Battle of
I believe that looks like a Slaanesh demon. That's a Slaanesh demon.
the Callium Gate, and then against the Death Guard during the Battle of Catalyst, where they activated an ancient dark glass array and managed to traverse the webway and return to Terra. While at a similar time, Vulcan of the Salamanders used an alternate webway path to get from the Battle of Nocturne to the heart of the Imperial Palace. But the biggest concentration of Loyalist forces were still stranded out on the eastern fringe, after numerous visions convinced them that the Emperor and the Imperium did still survive. Guilliman, Sanguinius, and the Lion dissolved the Imperium Secundus and attempted to break through the Ruin Storm.
See, that's
encountering
good. I like that. It's like, yes, the Emperor still lives. We are not meant to rule. We must follow the Emperor. So now we're going to push on through. That's good. That's loyal. Loyalty.
Traitor and demonic fleets during the battles of Anari and Piran. The three legions eventually came to the center of the Ruin Storm at Davin. During the second Battle of Davin, against a huge demonic incursion, the Loyalist fleet bombarded the planet with cyclonic torpedoes, weakening the Ruin Storm and opening a stable route through, though it was blockaded by a traitor fleet. Cutting their losses, the Ultramarines and the Dark Angels fleets opted to engage and distract the traitors so that the Blood Angels could make it through to Terra. By 12, the Battle of Talan ended as Horus consolidated his forces and pulled Perturabo and his Iron Warriors away, and with Loyalist forces gathering, they once again went on the offensive. During the Battle of Trizolian, Liman Russ and the Space Wolves Legion ambushed Horus's flagship anchored above Trizolian 4A, and the two Primarchs fought in the depths of Horus's flagship. But while Russ managed to wound Horus, he was seriously injured in return, and with Russ unconscious, his legion were forced to pull back to Yarant with the traitor forces in pursuit.
I would love to see just one of these mini stories where a couple of Primarchs go at it. I would love to see a fight like that. That would be so cool.
They were eventually rescued by Korax and the Raven Guard, but they suffered horrific losses, eventually pushing them out of the war. And with the Ruin Storm weakening, the Dark Angels took advantage of clearing space lanes to engage in a campaign of retribution against the traitors across the Southern Imperium.
Love that. Campaign of retribution. Translation. We're going to fuck your shit up now because we're just pissed off.
Destroying the Legion homeworlds of Chemos and Barbarous as the Ultramarines continued to press on through the remaining storm, slowly advancing on Terra. Rogaldorn mustered even more forces on Beta Garman, including huge numbers of Titan legions, as Horus, despite his wounds, committed to a major assault on the system with his own Titan legions. Eventually, Beta Garman became one of the biggest and most destructive theaters of the campaign. This part of the war dubbed the Titan Death for the numbers of losses suffered by the legios of both sides. The war on Beta Garman continued into 13, both sides pouring forces into the fray, including fleets from the Blood Angels and the White Scars arriving to attempt to hold the traitors until the Ultramarine fleet could force a path through. But while the traitors continued to fight, their high command...
All I keep right now thinking, man, I want those Ultramarines... I've been thinking this for like the past 15 minutes. I just want those Ultramarines to finally get there. If the Ultramarines can just get there, they're gonna turn the tide because they're the strongest.
was falling apart. Horus, succumbing to his wounds, fell into a coma. Disgusted by this and rethinking his decision to corrupt Horus all those years ago, Lorgar of the Word Bearers attempted to usurp control of the traitor forces, summoning Angron to his side and journeying into the warp to bring Fulgrim back to real space. But Horus eventually rallied, casting Lorgar down, exiling him, and taking control of the remaining Word Bearers through Word Bearers officers still loyal directly to him. With traitor
They never
forces
get
back
there?
under the control of the
Aw.
War Master and the Ultramarines still struggling through the storms, delayed by engagements with the Alpha Legion, the Loyalists finally cut their losses and quit the ruined Beta Garmin system, pulling back to Terra and the solar system for the final phase of the war,
Shit.
as the traitor forces mustered for their last push at Ulanor, where this story started 13 years before. They were joined by Magnus the Red and his 1,000 sons, now dedicated to the chaos-powered Tzeentch, his sons having collected the shards of their ruined father and reassembled him in the warp. Across the galaxy, conflict started to ramp down as theaters were bled dry of troops or their combatants attempted to reach Terra. The underground war on Calth finally came to a close as the Ultramarines, reinforced from within Ultramar, purged the remaining word bearers from the caverns, and the Loyalists finally took the lead in the Titan War in the Belt of Iron as the Cataclysm of Iron came to an end after the Siege of Graia. Finally, as the Death Guard fleet moved from the purging of Einix, they were becalmed in the warp, and through the manipulation of their first captain, Kalas Typhon, Mortarion pledged his legion to Nurgle. Everything was now focused on Terra, as in 14, the traitor fleet burned through the meager Loyalist defenses that still remained in the solar system and opened 2 warp gates in system to allow their fleets to bypass the Mandeville points. A Sons of Horus fleet took Pluto, linchpin of the first sphere of defense, and an Iron Warriors fleet under Perturabo took Uranus in the second sphere as a swarm of Emperor's
They took Uranus. I'm a child, I know.
children and renegade ships attacked the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. The Sons of Horus fleet then assailed Luna directly from the warp gates, taking over the ancient Selenar gene vaults as Shattered Legion forces managed to liberate the Magna Mater, the original genetic templates for the construction of the legions. Something the Loyalists would make use of thousands of years later. Overrunning the moon, the traitor fleet took position in orbit of Terra, and on the 13th of Secundus, the bombardment of Terra began. The Siege of Terra itself is such a huge conflict that it deserves its own video, but in short, the traitors, masterminded by Perturabo, systematically took apart the walls of the Emperor's palace, making gains with the taking of first the Lion's Gate and then the Eternity Wall spaceports, while Horus, Magnus, and the Word-Bearers under Zardu Lyak attempted to weaken the Emperor's psychic barrier enough that their demonic allies might manifest. They were resisted by the Blood Angels, the White Scars, and the Imperial Fists, aided by the Legio Custodes, the Sisters of Silence, and the millions of remaining human troops. But the Emperor himself and the majority of his Custodes' bodyguard were engaged attempting to stop waves of demons from crashing through the webway barriers deep underneath the palace. The conflict ramped up for months as the traitors landed Dark Mechanicum siege engines, titans, and hordes of mutants and cultists, and the defenders were slowly bled dry. Angron, demon primarch of the Word Bearers, fought and was bested by Sanguinius of the Blood Angels at Eternity Gate. Magnus fought Vulcan deep within the webway. Fulgrim was beaten by Rogel Dawn on the walls of the palace and quit the battle, disappearing into the warp while his legion rampaged through the undefended citizenry outside the walls. Perturabo, incensed at his siege plans being bypassed and questioned by other traitor commanders, quit the battle and pulled his forces from the theatre, and Jagatai Khan of the White Scars banished Mortarion of the Death Guard during a daring recapture of the Lion's Gate port, but still the defenders were pushed back until all that remained was the inner palace itself. And through all this, Horus, swollen with the power of chaos, pit his mind against that of the Emperor from his flagship in orbit. But eventually, as the noose wound tighter and both sides bled themselves dry, the signal was received that the Ultramarines and Dark Angels fleets were finally unbound. And whether by coincidence or design, Horus dropped the shields of his flagship, enticing the Emperor to finally take the field. The Emperor's regent, Malkador the Sigillite, took his position on the Golden Throne as the Emperor, Dawn, and Sanguinius teleported onto the Vengeful Spirit. Fighting through hordes of demons, the Emperor finally reached Horus's throne room, only to find Sanguinius already dead by his hand. And though he killed the War Master, he was mortally wounded in return. The heresy ended there, with the death of Horus Lupercal at the hand of the Emperor. The Loyalist forces almost annihilated, and the traitor forces turned to chaos and disarray. The Imperium, the product of the Great Crusade, was a ruin. Worlds reduced to rubble and billions dead. In the years that followed, the Ultramarines and the remnants of the other Loyalist legions would hound the traitors back into the region of warp space known as the Eye of Terror, and the Imperium itself would slowly rebuild. But with the Emperor catatonic and half the Primarchs turned to chaos or dead, it would never again reach the heights it had just 14 years before at the triumph of Ullanor. The Emperor's great plan was over. His gamble to defeat chaos had failed, and the Imperium that emerged from the ruins would ponderously roll on, slowly crumbling under its own weight for the next 10,000 years.
Yep.
And it's interesting when it's recounted like that, just how that all happened. Horus might have engineered himself a perfect position at the start of the heresy. The Loyalists deliberately scattered. The original forces sent to stop him in the perfect position to be annihilated. At the start of the war, it seemed like he'd be hard to stop. But the traitors still needed to secure industrial bases and supplies from a galaxy that, initially at least, was still loyalist, and maybe resisted the arrival of the traitors more than was expected. By the time he'd massed enough resources and obtained enough dark power to march on Terra and challenge the Emperor, his army was falling apart. Chaos was taking its toll. His commanders were more fractious than ever.
Yeah.
Lorgar,
because that's the thing. Chaos. I mean, that Kel brought up earlier. Horus seems to may have been, to Kel's definition, maybe a chaos generalist. Like he just wants chaos in general. But you saw different Primarchs were worshiping different chaos gods. And as I mentioned earlier, the chaos gods all hate each other, especially Khorne. Khorne hates Slaanesh. Khorne would love nothing more than to rip that little perv from whatever hole he's hiding in and rip him to pieces. So, I mean, the Chaos Gods would love nothing more than to war on each other as well. So, without a centralizing force, similar to the Orcs, without a centralizing force to keep them together, of course they're going to start fighting each other because they hate each other too, because they each want to be the one on top. So it makes perfect sense that once Horus is dead, the other Chaos Marine factions are going to just turn on each other because they still hate each other because they have different beliefs. You believe in beliefs of Khorne, different from Slaanesh. Slaanesh differs from Tzeentch, and of course, they are different from Nurgle. All the Chaos Gods have different designs on how they want to corrupt. So it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Yeah, I know I'm a heretic versus the Emperor, but I mean, hey, I'd worship the Emperor over a Chaos God.
Exiled after a failed coup, Conrad Kurz captured, Alfarius dead, Perturabo quitting the siege after being treated even worse than he was under the Emperor, and 4 Primarchs turned into demons and working.
Notice, that's a demon of each one. Nurgle, Tzeentch, Slaanesh, Khorne. So they literally had demon princes of each one who inherently hate each other. There it is right there.
Towards their own agendas, which meant that while Terra was still...
He just said it. Let's go back one second there.
And challenged the Emperor, his army was falling apart. Chaos was taking its toll. His commanders were more fractious than ever. Lorgar exiled after a failed coup. Conrad Kurz captured. Alfarius dead. Perturabo quitting the siege after being treated even worse than he was under the Emperor. And 4 Primarchs turned into demons and working towards their own agendas. Which meant that while Terra was still grossly outnumbered, the 2 remaining Loyalist legions making their way through the Ruinstorm were a genuine threat, and turned the final siege into a race against time. Anyway, there we go, the Horus Heresy. As I said, the Siege of Terra could be a whole other one of these, but we've got a bit more information to be filled in before that becomes possible. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this.
That was fantastic. This guy gets all the praise in the world. Let's review who he is. This guy is Arbiter Ian. That was a fantastic lore video. I learned a lot. It informed me on stuff I already sort of knew. As I said before, I have dangerous knowledge, but I didn't have specific knowledge. That was incredible, and it just reinforces why this would just be a gold mine of profit if they just made lore accurate television and movies of this shit. People would be literally saying, "Please, sir, take my money to watch this, please, please." So thank you, Kel. That was a lot of fun. We should definitely do more of these. That was a lot of fun. I love Warhammer. I love it. But we also have a $20 from Kratos El Grados. Basically, this one, let me open it up here because it is cutting it off as usual. Kratos for $20. Here's another internet relic. 18 years ago in 2007, Liam Kyle Sullivan posted Shoes, the full version, and now you finally get to experience it. Better late than never. And I saw what you said, Kratos. This is going to melt my brain. So let's go. So Shoes, the full version. Let's see if I can copy, cut, and paste this proper like. And we'll get it up here. So let's, did I close this already? Yeah, I did. All right. Okay. Yeah, that was a good one. So now, here we go. See, I don't know what I'm getting into. I don't know what I'm getting into here. So let's take a look. Choose the full version. Here, 18 years ago. Wow. Okay. I don't know what's about to happen. I do not know what's about to happen. But Kratos says it's going to melt my brain, which probably means you're going to get the Adam stunned face. The Adam, that looks going to happen a lot right now, I bet. Okay, so here we go. This is from 18 years ago. Liam Kyle Sullivan, 70 million views on this. Okay, here we go. This thing is a long time ago, so I don't think we have to worry about getting in trouble watching this one. All right, here we go. Thank you, Kratos, for the $20.
Happy birthday, twins.
A computer and a car. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Kelly, go ahead and open your present.
What the hell?
What'd you expect? Condoms?
Nice present, Kelly.
Condoms.
Shut up, Duck.
Skank.
I'm gonna backslap you,
No.
shitbag.
I'm an athlete.
Now stop fighting. You two are twins. Goodness sakes. Don't they have the same thoughts?
Shiz.
PlayStation.
Fiscal responsibility.
Tom Skerritt.
Tom Skerritt.
Kelly, where are you going?
Out.
Tom
Oh.
Skerritt.
Kelly, what are you gonna do with your life?
I'm going to get what I want.
Christ.
I take it this is a music video. Shoes.
Shiz. 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 Oh my god, shiz. Let's get some shiz. Let's get some shiz. Let's get some shiz. Let's get some shiz.
Oh God! Please tell me it's going to be more than just shoes. Shoes. Please tell me it's going to be more. Otherwise, it's going to hurt my brain for the rest of the day.
Shiz. Shiz. Oh my god, shiz. Shiz. These shoes rule. These shoes suck. These shoes rule. These shoes suck. Shiz. 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 Oh my.
I hate this dude. It's killing my brain. Oh, damn it.
My god, shoes. These shoes rule. These shoes suck. These shoes suck.
Oh, they suck. Okay.
These shoes suck.
I think you have too many shoes.
Shut up.
I think you have too many shoes.
Shut up.
I think you have too many shoes.
Shut up.
I think you have too many shoes.
Shut up. Stupid boy. Stupid boy. Let's get some shoes. Let's party.
What is? The only saving grace is that unless is that a dude? I mean, we know this dude's in drag for this, but at least it's mostly real women, I guess. Whoa! Whoa! What was the dude in the purple onesie? Did he have wings? Were those wings on his arms? Did he have wings? Are those wings? Why is he in a like a plastic purple onesie with a pair of banana hammocks and wings? Or no, it's a cape. It's a cape. He's in a cape. I want to know why this man is in a purple plastic onesie and a cape. He's wearing purple shoes. They match.
These shoes are $300. These shoes are $300. These shoes are $300 fucking dollars. Let's get them.
There he is again. What the hell? All right, this could fix itself if Purple Man and the robot fight. There's a man in a gorilla mask. There were drugs used to make this. Somebody had to be on drugs.
This style runs small. I don't think you're gonna fit. I mean, your fader kind of bag. Oh. 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 Oh, by the way, bitch.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
I was working in shitty kitchens in 2007. That's what I was doing. Oh, no, wait. No, I was working in a shitty country club. I was working in a shitty country club kitchen. God, that was a nightmare. That was a nightmare. Whoa! Okay, I'm not surprised. Man in purple is gay. I'm not surprised. Man in purple is gay. Not surprised at all.
Those shoes are mine, bitch. Give me those fucking shoes, bitch. Those shoes are mine, bitch. 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 Bitch.
That was pure brain rot. Thank you, Kratos. That was pure brain rot. I don't know. Why does that exist? Why does that exist? That 2000. Wow. All right. Yeah, it's always good we leave the brain melt for last because I can't function anymore. Betch. Something like that. Betch. All right, guys. We are almost 2 hours, 2 videos. We had some good conversations here. Thank you all for watching today. I hope you guys had a good time. The best way to do that, of course, is to like, subscribe, share it around out there. I hope you guys had a good time today. I always have a fun time. You guys make it enjoyable. Your torture is getting legendary and will only grow, I'm sure. So we will see you guys tomorrow, 1 p.m. for another episode. Until then, everybody, take it easy. Have a good night or day wherever you may be.